I waited 5 years for this movie. I'll admit, my excitement for this film was through the roof. And then I went to go see Godzilla last night, and it made every single expectation that I had, and probably a bit more so. So let's get into the positives first. There's more Godzilla in this movie. So if you felt like there wasn't enough Godzilla in the 2014 movie, there is a lot more of him, and there's a lot more of other kaiju in this film. The CGI is also very good. I thought it was phenomenal, and I was quite surprised how realistic the CGI looked. In fact, I would say this is probably some of the best CGI that I've seen all year. Then we've got the actual story. I thought the story was quite basic in its form, but yeah, again, this is a kaiju movie. I don't expect anything crazy. I thought the story in this was very straightforward, but there are quite a few references to older Godzilla movies that I feel a lot of people are not going to understand if you have not seen the majority of Godzilla films. So there is going to be a lot of things that will go over your head and you'll be like, what the fuck is this? But if you are a Godzilla fan, you will know exactly what I am talking about here. This movie is clearly made for the Godzilla fans and not for the general audience, which is a big gamble because you need to solidify yourself with the general audience, make sure they know Wagwan with the brand, and then obviously you can go a bit crazy. And I think Legendary have gone a bit too overzealous with that from 2014, and not remembering that the film has been out for 5 years, so a lot of people have probably forgotten what happened with that movie. And then we've got the actual battles themselves, which I thought were very good. They were very well done in my opinion, and some of them even reminded me of the Showa series, when some of them were a bit cheesy, but not too ridiculously cheesy, but just enough cheesiness to remind you that yeah, some things aren't supposed to be taken too seriously and some things are. So I did enjoy the references with the fighting. Then I liked the human part of the story, which a lot of people have actually said that they don't like it. I do, not for the reasons that you might think though. I am there for Godzilla only. I'm not really there for the humans. I don't care. As long as the humans are serviceable, I will be fine with that. And I thought I got my wish. I felt with Godzilla 2014 there was just too much human character development. I do not give a shit. Whoever dies in a Godzilla movie, I ain't there for them. I don't care if people die in the movie. I am there to see monsters, fam. And luckily I got exactly what I wanted when it came down to the storytelling with the humans, and they didn't get too much in the way, but they did in a bit. But I'll get into that, into the negatives. And now let's talk about those negatives. The human side of things, like I said, I enjoyed it. Some of it was humorous. Some of the characters are straight up ridiculous in this movie. Some of them are a bit insane. When I saw this film, I was sitting there like, okay, if I was in your position, I would not do that at all. And that's ridiculous. Even if you paid me £2 billion, I probably wouldn't do it. So I do think some of the characters in this film were a bit ridiculous. Some of them were just a little bit over the top. But I felt, I'll deal with it. But I know for some people, they're not gonna like how, indigestion. They're not going to like how certain characters are being portrayed in this movie at all. And then we've got the cutaways, and unfortunately there are still quite a few cutaways in this movie. If you do not like the cutaways, you probably are going to be quite annoyed. They're not as bad in the 2014 movie per se. It's not where you're about to get into a Godzilla fight, cutaway. Nah, there's none of that. The cutaways are probably a lot more in the middle of a kaiju scene, or in the middle of a battle, and then you would get some exposition from humans, and then it will cut back and forth, or it will be in a situation where you're seeing a battle going on, then you'll cut to the humans that are having to deal with the battle going on in the background as they have to do their thing and get the fuck out of there. So that there's a lot of that in this movie. but you don't feel robbed of any scenes, but there is cutaways nonetheless to try and balance out the thing. But other than that, man, I enjoyed this movie quite a bit, and I am so happy to see Godzilla back on the big screen. And honestly, I felt, now that it's absorbed, I hope to God Godzilla vs King Kong is like this, man, because I felt like I was a kid again. When I was in the cinema last night, a lot of my only friend in the cinema with me, I was just giggling, rubbing my hands like Birdman, and I was just like, yeah, rude boy, it's an on-site thing with King Ghidorah. But my friend was just sitting there like, what the fuck are you doing? And I'm like, shut up, man. I waited for this movie for 5 years, technically 20, because of that terrible 1998 movie that I actually do somewhat like. I was just happy. I got exactly what I wanted out of this film, and I'm gonna go watch it again. So if you are a Godzilla fan, you more than likely you are going to watch it, but the movie does have its flaws. If you are not a Godzilla fan, there is going to be a lot of things you will simply not understand. There is some scenes from references from older Godzilla movies, and if you're a Godzilla fan, you'll be like, I know what that is. I've seen that before. I know what you're doing there, Legendary. And then if you're just a moviegoer and doesn't know too much about Godzilla, you'll be like, when was this implemented, or what the fuck is this? And a lot of people are gonna feel that way. So for those who don't know Wagwan with the ting, there is going to be quite a few of those scenes where you're just sitting there like, what the fuck is this? What am I looking at here? And there are going to be scenes where it's like, okay, now I know what you mean. So remember, if you are not a Godzilla fan, you are probably going to miss out on a few references for the first time. But if you are going to enjoy the little treats that we get for knowing about the older installments. But like I said, I highly recommend you go watch this film. It is a fun action flick. You can switch your brain off and just enjoy the monster action and enjoy the scenes with monsters. It's a fun day out, fam. But like I said, this is not for everyone, and I'm going to make that very clear now. This movie is not for everyone. If you expect a fully cooked story and characters with some monster action, you're not going to get it here. This is a kaiju film. We ain't gotten that type of film in a very long time. I think the last Godzilla film that I know that had very good storytelling, character development, and good time with Godzilla and destruction with Godzilla was probably Godzilla 1984 or 5, because when it was released worldwide, that was probably the only Godzilla film that I know that had a good balance. So keep that in mind. This is a very good film nonetheless. That's what I really got to say for this video, folks. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. Take care.